This is Dolynny TV, and today, guys, well, she's another quiet day on our Edmonton Oilers front. Of course, we still await the Game 7 between San Jose and Vegas tonight, because that essentially gives us our last real big-name candidate in the GM search in Kelly McCrimmon. God, I hope he's on the list, but it is Bob Nicholson, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. Though tonight we could have some finality and see indeed what the deal with Kelly McCrimmon is when it comes to the Edmonton Oilers GM search. That aside, what the new GM will have to work with is one wonderful German player, not named Tobias Rader. Yes, you know what, Toby? Probably gone because Bob Nicholson wants him gone. I don't even know what I'm doing. Trying to sneeze. Anyway, that guy named Leon Draisaitl. Yes, okay. 50 goal Leon, right? L50N. Leon Draisaitl in his 23-year-old year. And basically, I'm just today going to sit here and break down what he is going to bring to the table a little bit next year, just on an outlook of what he brought to the table this year. Because there's a lot of decision making to be done with the Oilers, especially with the new general manager, on how you're going to approach the roster for your new head coach, should you choose to move on from Ken Hitchcock, obviously. All right, there's a couple of decisions to be made, and one of those is the center core depth. Do you use Leon Draisaitl as a line driving centerman, or do you use him as that elite left wing, right wing scoring forward that Connor McDavid needs to equal his speed and skill? Well, you know what? We kind of saw both this year, didn't we? We saw a little bit of both from Leon Draisaitl in different situations, whether it be Leon Draisaitl driving a line for a game with McDavid in the lineup, or driving a line without McDavid in the lineup and basically driving the team, or whether it be Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid showing overtime, whether it be Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid creating on the power play, or finishing plays off on shorthanded opportunities. We saw it all when it came to Leon Draisaitl this year, and that bodes very well when it comes to a new general manager getting things going for this team next year when you go to build this team with a new head coach. So, I can sit here and explain it a million ways to Sunday, or I can go and get into why Leon Draisaitl is in such a prime position to allow a little bit of flexibility into building next year's team based off of this year's performance compared to years prior. Right, coming into this year, Leon Draisaitl had a lot of doubters. Now, I wouldn't say haters, I wouldn't say detractors, I would just say doubters. Because we saw a 22-year-old kid finish a 70-point season in 17-18 on a losing Oilers team, right? Didn't make the playoffs that year. It was a down year. He was a -7, right? Like that whole lazy Leon thing really got ingrained in a lot of Oilers fans' minds. And of course, we saw some shortcomings when it came to leading a line himself. And he had a lot of doubters, probably about up until the halfway mark of the season, when he really was starting to pour it on offensively, and we were starting to see Leon Draisaitl at 23 years old grow into a mature center left wing combo forward that the Edmonton Oilers are so in desperate need of. And at $8.5 million, you cannot argue that he is not of that value and more. So a 23-year-old season, right? Obviously, at 23, if you're coming into the NHL, there's a lot of young guys 23 or below doing absolutely insane things. But at 23, if you're scoring 50 goals and 55 assists for 105 points, and you know what, meanwhile, you're a pretty good, well, power play producer. Don't kid yourself there. Leon Draisaitl, this is the thing, 29 points on the power play, 3 shorthanded goals. So you total up what? A total of 32 points on special team plays. Oh man, Leon Draisaitl absolutely unreal at even strength this year for a total of 73 points even strength. That's a heck of a guy. Problem is, yes, okay, you can point to the plus minus only being 2, but don't forget how often that Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl line was out late in games, and we got absolutely crap pounded in the last third period, right? So that aside, Leon Draisaitl's numbers right there, even strength power play splits, absolutely insane. Now, the one that gets me for Leon Draisaitl is This is what everyone that I've argued with doesn't seem to get when it comes to having Leon Draisaitl as the winger to Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid is always told to shoot more. Well, guess what? Connor McDavid shooting more is not an answer when you don't have guys that can finish on the wings, right? Because you can have Connor McDavid shoot and score 70 goals a season, but if his wingers are only going to score 10 and 12 goals each, that does the Oilers realistically nothing better, because essentially you've now got what? A winger scoring 25 and 25 and Connor McDavid scoring what? 40? We've seen how that works. Not well. So for Leon Draisaitl, he needs to go out there and be that guy to shoot that puck on those McDavid feeds. And that's essentially the thing. Would you rather have a guy shoot 200 shots who's only going to score 25 goals out of those 200 shots? Or would you have Leon Draisaitl who scores 50 goals on 231 shots in a season? Now, yes, that's a little ridiculous, I guess you could say, when it comes to a shooting percentage of 21.6. But this is the key, right? That thing I was talking about that people don't get about Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl is Connor can find Leon in the impossible spots. And that leads to that 21.6 shooting percentage when you've got the world's best passer of this generation passing to somebody who can finish at a 21.6 clip. Guess what? That's going to lead to a lot of offense like it did this year for Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and the Edmonton Oilers. You add in Zach Kassian or Alex Chiasson, who can go to the front of the net, who can create havoc, open space, and you're going to finish a lot more goals as well. So for a general manager, you're looking at all this that I've already talked about. You add in Zach Kassian, well, suddenly, guys, if you get the same production out of this line or just close to it, it's going to be an absolute unreal year if a general manager with half a brain, unlike Peter Chiarelli, can go out and get the job done in the offseason, make the moves, and actually get a roster that's going to perform from the onset through the middle and to the end into the playoffs. So, and the thing for Mr. Leon Draisaitl here too, as I review everything else, he really elevated into the top line role this year, right? An absolute driver offensively. Now, I don't like what Ken Hitchcock did down the stretch, playing Leon and Connor so much, but for 22 minutes and 35 seconds time on ice, to still produce at such a great clip as he did down the stretch, that's something you don't realistically see out of guys that have played that much over a year, right? That's an average. That's an absolute average ice time over 82 games. He stepped up and stepped down as the season dictated, but to be on the ice for 22 minutes and 35 seconds, oh my goodness, that is absolutely unreal, guys. That's unreal. That's craziness. So, as I'm getting texts and I'm getting question marks about yes, Puljujärvi and first rounder for someone else, well, we just don't need to be answering those questions quite yet. Let's go see. One thing I do want to take a look on is the face-off percentage for Leon Draisaitl. Again, holding his own, a 50.5% clip this year. Down the middle, that's an effective rate for a second-line centerman. You're not asking a third or a fourth who takes a lot more defensive zone draws, but out of a centerman on the second line, that's all right. And out of a left winger who plays center occasionally on the first line, even better. I ain't arguing. And honestly, Leon Draisaitl, other than that, the stats look as good as they possibly can. 116 giveaways, but you look at the elevated ice time of almost 3 minutes plus to his ice time over a course of an 82 season. Guess what? Giveaways weren't an issue. And takeaways were, well, less on par, but he played a lot more with McDavid, who's going to actually steal the puck more than anyone on the ice. So play on that. And 26 blocks. So Leon Draisaitl still blocking a puck per 3.5 games. Good enough with me. So for Leon Draisaitl, I guess to wrap it all up and make sense of what I've just told you, is the fact that he's come into his own at 23 years old, become the complete player, well, shaken the emotions of the doubters that were doubting what he was capable of, doubting if he was an answer, and now we actually have a forward that is a certain block, not a building block, not a piece, a certain block of what the Oilers are to go forward with as a franchise. What I mean by that is he is centered in the future of the Oilers, no matter which way you cut it. Yeah, you can argue that maybe we should trade him. No. It's absolute ludicrous to trade a guy that is a bona fide second-line centerman while being a bona fide 50-goal scoring left winger on an Edmonton Oilers team that, well, that doesn't happen very often. Guys, I don't know. What are your thoughts on Leon Draisaitl? I mean, like I said, slow news day, but what can we make of it? I'm Tyson, this is Dolynny TV. As always, I will catch you with a drink from America in the next one.